Hi guys, as promised, this is part 2 of the Smokey Steve's coming out story, Smokey, Steve and Mark. This is their channel, 6.77k subscribe if you like what you see and hear. So let's take a look at the other half of Smokey Steve's coming out story. Let's sorry, I'm just gonna make sure the volume's up. Yes, it is. Okay.
There might have been discussions to be had. Some people might have had questions or concerns or anything. So my dad doesn't get up to meet him out of the living room chair, doesn't say hi, and he also doesn't go introduce himself to my father, which my father would have liked probably. So I wasn't really sure he was too well, what's to be into? It's just who I date, but
yeah, but at the same time you want them to accept you. Like I said in the past video, his boyfriend may have felt like, when somebody doesn't like you, he may have felt that vibe from Steve's dad and was like, I'm not going to go over there. His dad may have felt the same vibes, or because he just didn't really agree with this whole my son having a boyfriend thing, was just like, I'm not going over there, but you should come over and make an effort for me. Maybe?
He didn't seem too cool with it at first. I think maybe give it a year and he started to not warm up to the idea, but be, friendly to other guys I brought home, talkative. He has more to talk about with Mark than I do because they do all these projects all over the house.
That's nice. So Mark and his dad do get on. That's nice. And I do wonder how long did it take for Steve's dad to become comfortable with his son having a husband?
But the only time I did bring it up to dad, and it was funny, he was driving me home from Easter break, fall break, maybe. And I had asked Mom, well, what does Dad think? And my mother's always curious, what does Dad think? Because he's strong silent type. We don't know until something comes out of his mouth. And I think he had said, it's not what I would prefer for him, but if that's what it is, it's what it is. And I was like, oh, okay. So then I brought it. Mom told me as much.
So I guess that's supportive, I guess.
So then I asked Dad personally, and he's driving me back. He starts driving faster and faster and faster.
Oh my God, he's going to cause an accident.
As I'm talking and talking, and we get pulled over by the police. I've never seen my father get pulled over in 70 years of life. But as I'm having this discussion, a cop interrupted. I took it as divine intervention and didn't pursue the matter further.
Maybe that was on purpose. His dad was like, I need to get out of this situation. And other than jumping out of the car, I don't know what to do, so I've got to speed.
But as years went on, I know a lot of gay guys, especially
Happy Father's Day,
have issues with their dads. It's a guy thing, it's a man's man, whatever.
Yeah, the toxic masculinity. And the mother or the father feeling like they did something wrong, or they dropped the ball, and that's why their son is gay, or that's why their daughter is trans, or that's why their daughter is a lesbian, or that's why their son is questioning. A lot of parents do blame themselves.
That's all horseshit anyway. But I didn't grow up, fortunately, with expectations of boys do this, girls do that.
That's good.
I used to play with my sister's Barbie head and cut its hair and do its makeup, but I also played Little League. I also fell off my bike 1,000 times. I'd get covered in cuts. I played basketball. I did other
stereotypically, boyish, masculine things.
Athletic sort of things that you would associate with young, straight,
And that's why, his parents were probably quite shocked, maybe, when Steve came out.
Boys will be boys. And then all that changed as I got older. So once we got rid of the first boyfriend, I moved to Philadelphia because after a year in Scranton in college, I'm like, I'm dying here because I had already been out. There was no other gay people there except for like three. They had a GLB group, which no one knows what that means because no one
Like gay, lesbian, bisexual? Yeah.
uses that anymore. For
Was that the GLB before LGBTQ? I'm guessing.
gay people who go to the university, it was a Jesuit Catholic school, and it was run through the counseling center, sort of like counseling us on having a hard time dealing with being on that campus. It's like, counseling center. I didn't really go for that. Homosexuals Anonymous, didn't go for it. And I was a little too out, I think, for
Homosexual Anonymous.
some people's taste in that group.
Hey,
Center, sort of like counseling us on having a hard time dealing with being on that campus. It's like, counseling center. I didn't really go for that. Homosexuals Anonymous, didn't go for it. And I was a little too out, I think, for some people.
and I brought this up in my last video. How can you be too out? How can you be too out of the closet? Oh God! Like Steve, you need to explain this.
People's taste in that group.
How are you too out in a gay, lesbian, and bisexual group? Does he mean too flamboyant? Like, how are you too out of the closet with other people that are out of the closet? Smokey Steve, you need to make this like an hour long, because I need an explanation behind this.
By the time the guy and I had broken up that year, I started dating again because why wouldn't I?
That's what you do.
I'm free, I'm single, and I certainly acted
Ready to mingle.
free and single. And I didn't really have teen years having crushes and romantic relationships and flirting with people that if you're straight you might do. You pass notes, go to a dance. Like, there was nothing. I wasn't even going to approach the topic as a teen anyway, because I think I would have gotten thrown out. I don't think now I would have, but at the time I was very afraid of that. So now we're through school, through the rest of college. I'm still hitting bars once in a while. I would date someone for a while and then not, and then date someone and then not, and then just have a couple of casual encounters, enjoying the company of gentlemen.
Yeah. That's what I said in the last video. Blanche Devereaux line. Enjoying the company of gentlemen of an evening. That's such a Blanche Devereaux Golden Girls line.
Safely as possible, but
that's a Blanche Devereaux line as well.
At will.
Do you remember, anybody who watches the Golden Girls, do you remember Dorothy's hilarious rant about condoms? Sorry, it's just the safeness. Like, Blanche always, having to emphasize the fact that she was safe. Do you remember? And they were going on that cruise, and Dorothy, they were, Rose and Dorothy and Blanche were talking, were suggesting condoms without saying it. And then Rose didn't know what they were talking about, and then she erupted and went, condoms, condoms, condoms. And the pharmacist at the counter goes, relax, lady, did you just get out of prison? Anyway, yeah, I'll try to find the name of that episode. That was hilarious. But they all went out on the cruise. They were all going on a cruise, and they were getting stuff they were getting last minute stuff from the pharmacy.
And I would, go out a few nights a week. So
sometimes I just want to rent a car and go,
I do know. And I think I can help you with that.
Moved back from Philadelphia to Carbondale, and then to Scranton, and then ended up back at my parents' house. And after I ended up back there, I thought it was going to be a little rest. This was when my addiction and drinking and everything came in. And I wasn't able to do anything, let alone date. So it was really a non-issue for a number of years, from 2007 to 2012. I met Mark.
2007. So for like 5 years. It sounds like Steve for 5 years was trapped in his addictions. So wasn't even dating, so didn't really date or entertain any partners for 5 years. And then I think in one of the addiction centers, he met Mark, who is now his husband. So I wonder how that happened.
in 2010 when I was in treatment, and there seems to be a disproportionate number of gay men in the treatment center I was in. It was all
That sounds crazy though. I would expect like Steve to be like 1 out of 20.
men, but I think it was 18 of us, and I would say 6 of us were gay.
6 out of 18 at that treatment center were gay, or at least identified as gay. That's a lot. That's a lot.
That's a lot
That's a lot. I agree with you, Steve.
compared to the population.
Yeah, it's weird to walk into something like a treatment center and be like, wow, there's 6 of you? Jesus, that's a lot. And it's just like random dudes, you know, regardless of race, class, you know, obviously it's men, but regardless of race, you know, class, you know, any other characteristics, you're all just a random group of guys, and 6 out of 18 are gay. I've never heard of that before. I mean, not in, obviously, I haven't been in the treatment center. I haven't been in the treatment center, but I haven't been in any setting where you've just gone in a random setting, and there just happens to be like 6 LGBT people, all in this one setting out of 18. That's great, but I'm just like, wow,
That was actually
that's a lot.
helpful at that time, because treatment is either a waste of time or life-saving, depending on who you ask. So I was trying to make use of it. I had
I bet.
my first big gay crush in a long time on Mark, because I had already fallen through. I was just doing social bar stuff in Philly, and then there's nowhere to go up here, and I was a drunk driver, so I lost my license. And I don't come from a family like that of, well, you lost your license, but it'll probably be okay. We don't do that. So I didn't drive, and I didn't drive for about 6 years. So it's hard.
Wow. And to go from driving and being fully independent rather, to not driving in 6 years. I wonder, does Steve drive now?
To have a social life when you're not winning the fight against alcoholism or mental illness, living in your parents' house, sleeping on my sister's old futon, drinking Listerine out of the bottle. I wasn't quite the catch.
Oh God, I love Steve's humor.
So it really didn't matter at a certain point if I was gay, straight.
No, of course not, because you're so far stuck in your addictions at that point. That dating, entertaining friendships, relationships is probably the last thing that he wants to do.
Or anything, because I was not going to be with anyone ever again for the rest of my life because I was too unlovable.
Oh.
So all the
Do you think, guys, that, you know, Amber, Tammy, you know, I mean, we know how Foodie feels, but I'm just going to focus on Amber and Tammy, that Amber and Tammy, you know, feel unlovable? Do you think that Amber Lynn deep down feels unlovable, and that's why she tries to buy all of her girlfriends with money? That's why she tries to, you know, keep her girlfriends with emotional manipulation and sometimes physical violence? You know, I mean, Amber is pretty, but do you think she feels unlovable? You know, her parents have never really given her the love that she craved. They were never really there for her. You know, she bounced around from care home to care home. She met Crystal. She met Casey. She met Crystal. You know, throughout all these relationships, you know, she appears like she's was the dominant force, but behind them, you know, keeping Amber Lynn constantly keeping her exes, Casey and Crystal, like under her thumb. And it's the same thing that she tried to do with Destiny. It's the same thing that she did with Becky, and Becky still hasn't recovered from it. You know, Becky hasn't really like mentioned Amber in the community post, but I strongly believe that one of the main reasons that Becky had a breakdown and had to go to a hospital was because she still hasn't recovered from the emotional abuse of Amber. And we don't know what happened behind the scenes. We don't know if it was physical. You know? Even without Destiny's expose, if you found out that Amber Lynn was physical with Becky, Would you be surprised if you found out that Amber was physically abusive? I wouldn't be.
Addiction, negative self-talk, all that kind of crap comes through. And I didn't think I wanted to get married. Like, I really didn't think I wanted to get married at all. I thought committed relationships are good, but I don't know if it's the great love of my life or is it the great love.
Is it also because, you know, growing up, you see much of marriage from such a straight point of view that maybe Steve couldn't imagine him marrying a man. Because when you grow up, you know, especially like, yeah, when you grow up, for a lot of people, it's just Adam and Eve. It's just it is a lot of boy meets girl. And sometimes you really do have to find LGBTQIA stuff. Like, it really is a lot of boy meets girl, boy meets girl, boy falls in love, they get married, have 2.4 children. And if Steve keeps seeing that, then maybe he never imagined that he would marry a man because he didn't see enough of it, you know?
Of my life. Hard to say. I just married one after dating a lot, and I tried enough men on for size. So
I want to hear those stories, Steve.
I was pretty happy with where it landed. Mom was right for me as far as advice to be friends first and give it some time.
You know, his mother sounds really mature and supportive.
And that's done that. So my life is kind of my advocacy for equal treatment, equal celebrations, that kind of thing. Like, I'll give you an example of where I felt equally treated. I got married. I invited folks from work, and they came.
He said, even now, after being married for quite a while now, he looks completely stunned that people from his workplace would come to his wedding. Look at that face. He looks absolutely stunned, even though the wedding happened months ago. Oh, Steve, you're so adorable.
You know, nobody had to come. There wouldn't have been sore.
Because they wanted to come. It's like Steve can't believe. Right, I do get a lot of internalized homophobia from Steve. It's like he didn't want to believe that anybody would show up to this gay wedding, to this wedding that's against God, to this wedding that's so disgusting. He didn't believe that anybody would show up or want to celebrate his love because it's gay love. This is so sad.
Feelings. A couple people couldn't make it for a number of different reasons, but they showed up for my wedding. The people who attended my wedding, I don't know if they know what a big deal it was.
It sounds like it's a big deal because Steve still looks completely stunned that anybody showed up to his wedding. I think there's an expectation of parents to show up, but I think he still looks to this day completely shocked that people other than his family actually showed up to his wedding to Mark. He looks completely stunned.
Like, for Mark and I, it was such a big deal. I looked out in that room and I saw like 30 years worth of friends.
That's so cute.
Old friends.
He still looks ready to cry even now. I think he's still not over it. Bless his heart.
Friends, new friends, old therapists, new therapists. Family I hadn't seen in a while, family that I had seen recently. I was stunned. I thought, for this awful thing I am, all these people showed up to clap. And my father handed us the rings.
Oh, so his father is completely well, at least, you know what? Even if Steve's dad wasn't 100% accepting, at least he showed up to the wedding and embraced their relationship and was there to give them the rings. Because I've been watching that what was it called? Not Bride and Prejudice, but that oh god, where their parents don't accept the wedding, like that British show. Like, I completely forgot what it's called, but they were they gay couples and they were gonna go to the wedding and they were heading to the altar and one or both of their parents didn't accept it, and some of their parents, some gay couples, their parents don't even show up. There was a lesbian couple, and her father was a pastor, and they're very religious, and she's got brothers and sisters, and they are like a mixed bag. There's, interracial dating, there's multi-religious dating going on in their family. Like, there's like multiple different couples in their family, and her father was the like vicar, was the pastor for each of her siblings' weddings. But because she's gay, he wasn't going to be the pastor, he wasn't going to be the vicar for her wedding. Her parents didn't even show up to the wedding because she's gay. And on the show, it kind of documented her trying to convince her parents that she's basically human, and it didn't work because they were so religious that they couldn't attend a gay wedding even if it was for her daughter. Like, her siblings were there and everything. Yeah, her siblings were there to support her, her best friends were there, other family members were there, but her religious parents did not go. They did not go because and like, her mother was like, I love you to death, I'd die for you. But it's like, you love her to death and you die for her, but you're not going to show up at the most important moment of her life. It's like, religion is, I just feel like some parents use religion as an excuse to hide their own genuine thoughts and feelings on LGBTQIA people, and they use religion as a shield so that they don't have to verbally say or justify a lot of offensive beliefs that they have.
So, it's I'm very happy with where it is now. Everyone's coming out story, and all these people showed up to clap. And my father handed us the rings. So,
that's so sweet. He looks so genuinely chuffed. Steve, if you're watching, I want to see more of these story times. These are so sweet.
I'm very happy with where it is now.
Or maybe I can just look up coming out stories.
Everyone's coming out story and trying to find themselves story. Whether you're gay,
right,
you're not trying to find yourself as a teenager.
Yeah, agreed. Whether you're gay, straight, bi, questioning, you're always going to try and find yourself, I think. At whatever age. I don't think finding yourself just stops at adulthood.
It can be challenging. If someone hands you an identity, sometimes it's easy, but if you're trying to find yourself...
Smokey Steve kind of hits the nail of the head with handing out identities, like Foodie. Foodie wasn't handed an identity, but all Salah said was, I would prefer my wife to be Muslim, and she bought a hijab and looked at abayas like the first week of meeting. And the thing is, I'm not covering her anymore, but Foodie did not have to convert. There's no law that says that just because you're married to a Muslim man or you're dating a Muslim person that you have to convert. There are loads of people that are married to Muslims that have not converted, but they just respect the religion from the outside. Allah, Salah's friend, and his wife that Foodie tried to dox, his wife they've been together for years. His wife has not converted and doesn't plan to. I mean, we know that Foodie has a facade, but it's like, she's trying to find an identity through Muslim culture, but it's so obvious that she's cosplaying because she's not taking this seriously. Foodie constantly struggles to find her identity. I'm going to borrow Ariana's line from Vanderpump, because she has a vicious, disturbing, self-centered personality, but she doesn't have a proper identity of her own. Really, because she has like no morals or values, but that's another story. Gonna rewind.
I had seen recently. I was stunned. I thought, for this awful thing I am, all these people showed up to clap in that room, and I saw No, nobody had to come. There wouldn't have been sore feelings. A couple people couldn't make it for a number of different reasons. For me, as far as advice, to be friends first and give it some time. And that's done that. So my life is kind of my advocacy for equal treatment, equal celebrations, that kind of thing. Like, I'll give you an example of where I felt equally treated. I got married. I invited folks from work, and they came. You know, nobody had to come. There wouldn't have been sore feelings. A couple people couldn't make it for a number of different reasons, but they showed up for my wedding. The people who attended my wedding, I don't know if they know what a big deal it was. Like, for Mark and I, it was such a big deal. I looked out in that room and I saw like 30 years worth of friends. Old friends, new friends, old therapists.
I still get this internalized homophobic vibe. Like, he's disgusted with himself, so he can't understand why people would show up. It's so sad. It's so sad, but it's an honest representation of what LGBT people have to go through today.
New therapists. Family I hadn't seen in a while. Family that I had seen recently. I was stunned. I thought, for this awful thing I am, all these people...
For this awful thing I am, all these people showed up. It's such a devastating line. And I rewound it in the last one, and I'm rewinding it in this one.
Old friends, new friends, old therapists, new therapists. Family I hadn't seen in a while. Family that I had seen recently. I was stunned. I thought, for this awful thing I am, all these people showed up to...
For this awful thing I am, all these people showed up for me. It's such a devastating line.
I was stunned. I thought, for this awful thing I am, all these people showed up to...
And he's on the brink of tears. For this awful thing that I am, talking about being gay. For this awful thing that I am, all these people showed up to celebrate my wedding. You know, nobody should ever have to think like that. This is so devastating.
Clap.
It just takes me aback every time I hear that line. And I've reviewed this video before my computer went kaput. I've reviewed this video before, and this line just takes me aback, just shocks me every time.
And my father handed us the ring.
It's so soul destroying.
So, I'm very happy with where it is now. Everyone's coming out story and trying to find themselves story. Whether you're gay or not, trying to find yourself as a teenager can be challenging. If someone hands you an identity, sometimes it's easy, but if you're trying to find yourself, it was tough. I had a lot of support. I had really good friends when I was in college. I had really good...
And Foodie Beauty and Amber and... You know, Tammy, it took a long time, but Foodie and Beauty and Amber still haven't really found themselves. I mean, for Amber, I think her weight is now her personality. For Foodie, I think her weight is her comfort blanket. She's not letting it go. And you know how...
Friends.
Sorry. I thought that when Foodie met Salah, that she would try everything within her power. And some people were saying that she'd go back on the drugs to lose weight. I honestly think that she tried to go back on the drugs to lose weight, and I just don't think it worked. The second time around, I don't think it worked. You know, and I honestly think that in the beginning she was going to try and lose weight, and then was miserable in Kuwait and gained weight. You know, that's what happens when you're alone, stuck in a shoebox, and just having to stuff yourself because your so-called husband is gone all the time. And she's just gotten so used to just soothing herself with food. And I do believe that she does hate it in Kuwait, but she does like Salah. And she feels like it balances itself out, but it doesn't, because Foodie is continuously losing. But she doesn't see it as losing because she's got a man. Where's your man?
You know, in my working years after, I did the 12-step thing for a number of years right out of treatment, and it was very beneficial. I don't attend now. Don't regret going, but don't regret not going now. And there was people there I met who were incredible. And even though I don't do the 12-step thing, as is almost unheard of, I call people still in the meetings because I still care how they're doing and they still care how I'm.
That's so cute. Steve is just such a caring person. Anyways, I mean, it's not any wonder that people, showed up for this wedding, even if they didn't really agree, even if they, traveled miles. It's not hard to see why people would show up for this guy. He seems really sweet. I mean, it's not, you know what I mean? He really does care about people. So, of course, he's going to get that care back in return. But he still seems absolutely shocked that people showed up for his wedding. It's so sad.
If we're not in the same club. So there's good people everywhere. And I was pretty much convinced I was just going to be once an outcast, always an outcast, don't want to belong. It's easy to say you don't want to belong when no one's invited you along.
Like it's easy for Amber Lynn to say she's got all these friends and she's going out bowling and she's going out to the arcade and she's going out with all these meals with all her friends when she doesn't have to vlog it. Amber Lynn and Foodie both think they're Regina George in their head. They really think they are the mean girls in high school, and they think that they're peaking mean girls in high school, and they've got all these friends, they've got all this, this fantastic life, this that everybody wants. They've got all these friends, and it's just like, Amber, we know that you don't have friends like that. We know. You stop trying to flex that you have, that you have so many friends and that people are visiting you every day. Stop.
That was kind of how I had always felt. Now, of all the things I've been in therapy for, the gay thing is the least of it.
Yeah, but it does still sound like Steve needs to go to therapy for the gay thing. It still sounds like he hasn't really, adjusted to being gay, if that makes sense. It still sounds like a source of shame for him on some level.
It's the least.
If you're still shocked that people have shown up to your wedding to celebrate gay love, you have an issue with your sexuality. I'd say the same thing if this was a lesbian.
Least of it.
If you are stunned that people would show up, even though he, supports people, cares about people, if you are stunned that people are supporting your gay wedding, then there's obviously some type of internalized homophobia going on. It's so interesting. I need a psychiatrist or something to unpack this man. And not unpack him literally. I mean, the guy's married.
Which is great. I learned a lot about what I want out of relationships, with partners and what I don't. And that's why I ended up with Mark, because he had more of what I wanted than anyone I'd come across. And wanted to try to build a life with him.
I really think that Foodie and Amber and Tammy are looking for these perfect partners. No, they're looking for the perfect enablers. But luckily, Tammy broke free of that, and I'm so shocked that out of Foodie, Tammy, and Amber, Tammy was the first one to start really getting her shit together, and I'm so shocked because her family, especially her siblings, have enabled her for such a long time that I never thought that she would break out of her food addiction, and I never thought that she'd lose weight. And look at what happened. She proved me wrong.
And it's such a journey because it's been over 20 years since I've been out. My coming out date was actually October 6th of 2000, I believe it was.
LGBTQ people out there. Can you remember the exact date, time, weather, the exact time, place that you came out? Can you remember the exact date? Because of course maybe you would, because it's such an important thing. But a lot of people get stressed out, and in stressed out situations, the date, the time, the place, the weather, where you were, who was there, that's just a blur for some people.
It was a week before my sister's, and It was a week before. No, it wasn't a week before that engagement thing. It would have been longer, I think. But at any rate, since that time to now, I've gotten closer with my parents. I've gotten closer with siblings, definitely friends, and it's not something about myself that I lead.
I wonder how Steve's other siblings felt about him coming out. Did they know too, or were they genuinely shocked?
With. It's just kind of a part of who I am. It's not a part of myself I ignore because that would be so convenient. The people that do advocacy for different groups are the ones who are loud, visible in the street, the extremists that I think most people don't like. And when I was in college, I went to a few protests. The Westboro Baptist Church, they don't like me.
Oh yeah, but Westboro has a lot of issues, and you know that they're probably the most closeted group of people in the first place. To dedicate your life to publicly seeking out LGBTQ people and shaming them, you know there's a whole bunch of closet cases in the Westboro Church. You just know.
So, excuse me. So at any rate, I gave it a try, and it took. What are you supposed to get out of this video? Well, Pride Month. Biggest thing I ever tried to change my life was that. And
well, Steve, we got you. We got you being absolutely adorable and funny and heartbreaking. So that's a huge plus.
And a wink and a
Not the heartbreaking bit, but Steve just being Steve. That's why we watch this video. That's why we watch your content.
nudge to, the journey that it is, finding yourself, whatever yourself is, and then just not being embarrassed of yourself. I don't even know if I acknowledge.
But Steve still sounds embarrassed. When he's talking about the wedding, he still sounds embarrassed. So embarrassed that he doesn't understand why people would show up to his gay wedding.
Pride as much as pride as is no shame. No shame in my game. Nothing less, nothing more than anybody else.
That's easy to say, but throughout this video, I feel shame. But that's okay. It's just what I get from him.
And
He's adorable though, don't get me wrong. I am a fan, I'm subscribed, but I get shame. I feel shame. Not Game of Thrones level of shame, but I feel sprinkles of shame.
I think I did my bit of advocacy when I was younger, and there's room for younger folks to jump in now. And it's not beyond me if I see some people that look like they want to leap to. I used to grab my then boyfriend's hand. I'd be like, let's walk down the street and see what they do. You think you're so open-minded? You think everything's changed so much? Walk down Main Street holding another guy's hand and tell me.
But I have to say, it's probably a lot different for women than it is for men. Especially as with women, how women do hold hands as just friends. So it's like easier for lesbians, whereas gay men, oh my God, or trans people, people transitioning, holding hands. I can't imagine.
Tell me how far it's gone. How many blocks can you get before someone honks or screams something? So there's still work to be done as far as having an equal place at the table. But for myself,
Yeah, I mean, homophobes are so that, yeah. I mean, LGBTQIA may never get a real seat at the table because homophobes are just psychotic.
social life, like I said, friends, family, work, I couldn't have been more fortunate. I've only had blowback a couple times for it. I've only experienced discrimination maybe 3-4 times.
Good for you. Well, it's not good, but I'm so glad that it's just a handful of times and that he's not, tortured about his sexuality regularly and that his family are completely cool with it.
We got egged once in Philly, downtown, in the neighborhood. I think they were pledging a frat. So at any rate, thank you for...
Frat boys, some closeted as hell. I mean, you'll see most of these coming out stories on YouTube from, like, you know, middle class white frat boys who used to be frat boys that were in the closet. I've just checked out the coming out because I might be covering more coming out stories, and it's like, I used to be a frat boy, I used to be the straightest guy, and now I'm out.
Listening to my story. Thank you for joining. Thank you for all the support you guys always give Mark and I, too. It's in the same vein as the folks who came to the wedding. It's like, they like us just fine? There's no catch?
He sounds so surprised. Steve, people like you for you. It sometimes sexuality isn't even an issue. He seems so... This is the sprinkles of shame that I'm talking about, that I'm feeling. Guys, let me know if you feel it in the comments. Am I crazy? Am I crazy?
You know, a lot of times if you're gay, there is a catch. People, we love you, love the person, hate the sinner. You know.
Yeah, there's very much that. Yeah.
About it, I guess.
I wonder if... Come on, I need to stop this. There we go. I wonder if Steve kind of...
Life has been good so far. It's been good.
Oh, God, I'm trying to pause this.
Married life has been good. Work's been good. My partners and my relationships have been good. I've just started
There we go. Sorry, it's completely... Right.
connecting with some old friends.
No.
So
Christ.
things are good now. Things are good. I'm very proud of
the
life
box.
that I have, because it was not something that was going to be guaranteed. I was probably looking down the barrel of dying by 30, and it was only by my parents keeping me alive, treatment professionals being affordable on Medicaid, and extended stays that I was able to get it together. So a lot of people were involved in me having a good life. And
Sorry, because I have no idea what's going on. It's like, this page is going haywire.
the people who provided support for me coming out were in that same vein. I think of them all the time. Even if I don't talk to them, even if I don't see them, I think about them all the time.
There we go. There we go. Okay, because they made so much of an impact on him, because they supported him. There we go. There we go. It stopped? Okay. Because they made such of an impact on him, because they supported him, despite the fact that he was gay, and he seems continually shocked and grateful for that. And can I just add, before this goes haywire again, is that I feel like Steve has gone through love the person, hate the sin a lot. And that's why he was genuinely shocked that people took time out of their day to come to his wedding. Right, let's go.
So thank you all for joining, and thank you all for watching. Please do subscribe, hit the notification bell. You'll get alerts when we have new videos and go live. We're on Facebook, Instagram, on Twitter, contact info, all that stuff will be below as well. Thank you for joining, and we'll catch up with you very soon. So thanks for watching. Happy Pride Month. Thank you for those celebrating in solidarity, and y'all be good to yourselves, okay? Bye.
Right, thank you. That's the end, guys. So yeah, it still feels like he has a lot of internalized homophobia going on. I could hear Steve talk about his life. Oh my God, this is ridiculous. There we go. There we go.
People say, when did you know?
This just has a mind of its own. There we go. There we are. Right, and I could hear Steve talk about his life. He should write a book. And I am not even pressing anything. There we go. There we go. There we go. There we go. Right. I could hear Steve talk about his life all day. You know, he's such a great storyteller and seems quite impartial, and will give you like the facts of what happened at that time. You know, instead of like, people in stories always tend to make themselves out to be the hero in situations, and Steve just isn't like that. I think he's a great storyteller. I think YouTube is really his jam. He's really good at this. I could listen to Steve talk about his life all day. Okay, guys, that's the end of the vid. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening.